am sharing my plan to learn 11 languages in preparation for going to the Polyglot Gathering, which is a huge conference for language enthusiasts. Seeing as I only use English in daily life, plus life is just busy and chaotic as an adult, it is incredibly hard to maintain all of my languages while learning new ones. Here's my plan to combat that. By the way, if you wish to have a less overwhelming and less frustrating way to learn your languages with confidence, know for sure the best resources and strategies that fit your needs, the person that you are behind your languages, and your goals the best, join me in the comment section below to sign up for one of my workshops that I host year-round. Now, step one, before I even construct a study plan, I always ask myself, what is the why behind my languages? And there's a lot that goes into this. I don't like to just get into action without truly thinking about how my plan adheres to my values. Step back and reevaluate, okay, how are my languages right now with my energy levels, with my life circumstances, really serving me in my life? And I ground myself this way instead of being pulled by my ambition in all different directions that are going to lead to burnout and repeating unhealthy patterns that are not serving me in language learning. Now, my surface why, of course, is to prep for the conference Polyglot Gathering for a specific date. So that's the immediate motivation. But there's a deeper why, right? Why am I going to the conference? To use and learn languages. There's an even deeper why to even that. Why do I want to use and learn languages? To explore the world and make connections. And why do I even want to do that? Which is my value, to honor my value of curiosity, adventure, and self-kindness. My core value is not learn languages. My core value is what learn languages actually gets me. I find it a little bit problematic, honestly, when we say our value is learn languages, because there are going to be times when we cannot keep all of our languages up if we are learning multiple ones, or life is literally just going to happen and maybe we're not going to be able to use languages the way that we envisioned, therefore not living by our said values that we told ourselves for language learning. But if we really think about the why behind our language learning and the why behind each language before we actually set up a study plan, that's going to ground ourselves a lot more so that we're not blaming ourselves if something goes wrong, because there's a lot more flexibility to adhering and living out the value behind learn languages. If you want to live by your values that learn languages inspires within you, such as breeding curiosity in your life or adventure in your life, that can be addressed in different ways. These different ways can be flexible in how you are feeling as an adult, how busy your life is currently, and how your energy levels limitations are in your life. So again, living by my core values, and I'm using languages as a pathway to bringing those values to life. Now, I really try to check in emotionally before I even make a plan, right? Because honoring my life values, as I said, can look different in different seasons of life. For example, I haven't learned languages in the past 3 weeks due to just being busy and also being sick. And I just had a lot of overwhelming thoughts that were bothering me and taking energy away from when I could have been dedicating that to languages. Now, this was a cycle that I call restorative rest for languages. It's one of the 3 cycles that all language learners must go through. You can kind of check out this Fluency Myths video to find out more about that. But now that I have higher energy levels this month and I have less life commitments, I have the privilege of kind of clearing my calendar. I am now in the 2nd cycle of rapid growth, where you see a lot of progress, where you see a lot of time dedicated to your languages because it fits your energy levels and your season of life right now. And therefore, I can create a better routine that allows me to explore my life more deeply through languages. Step 2, I meet myself where I am and I take inventory of how much time I've been dedicating to languages just this year to see where I am, and also my honest levels in each language that I want to improve upon. That would include English, German, which is around C2, Spanish at B2, Italian, B2, French, B2, Turkish, Arabic, Russian are all at a B1, Portuguese and Dutch, A2, and Korean and Mandarin Chinese, A1. Now, I have been spending a lot more time reading in German and Italian lately, a little bit in French, and I've been going maybe once or twice to a Russian meetup. But honestly, this month has been the most time that I have had to actually be able to dedicate to languages, as well as my energy. So I like to keep that in mind when I take inventory. Step 3, because when we look at our metrics right? When we look at our proficiency levels and we are honest with ourselves, there can be a lot of self-blame. There can be a lot of criticism when we think, oh wow, I haven't made the progress that I really wanted to. I'm learning slow. And this self-criticism, the self-blame has been a psychological pattern that has hindered my language learning progress more than anything else has in my language learning. So I'm really at a point in my life where I'm trying to be more proactive at addressing those two things nowadays. So instead of criticizing myself, for example, with you'll never get from a 0 to conversational in Korean in 1.5 months in time for the conference, so you shouldn't even go, or I suck and my Spanish and Italian used to be at C1, but now they've dropped, and I shouldn't even claim these languages at the Polyglot Gathering if I don't feel advanced every single day. You guys have probably felt a similar feeling to your languages as well. So instead I visualize, what kind of connection do I want to foster by using these languages? No matter my proficiency in the language, I ask myself, what would I like the person to know about me that I'm talking to? What would I like to know about the other person I'm talking to? What is one single way that I can show vulnerability? Saying I don't know, for example, asking for assistance is another example, which I know is easier said than done for some of us who are high achievers, keeping in mind that anyone who attends language conferences has probably been in the exact same position of not knowing something and feeling embarrassed isn't a me problem. It is truly a universally felt insecurity that can bubble up for any language learner at any point. Keeping these mental things in mind and having practiced applying these mindset shifts over and over, that really helped me mentally humanize the other person in preparation for this big event that I'm going to. And it takes conscious effort for me to remember this, but it helps me pull away from unnecessary pressure to improve the fastest in my beginner languages. Thus, that helps me inspire a routine that will not lead to burnout and joyless learning. Step 4 is keeping all of that prep work about reflection and mindset. I then really analyze my energy, not only before the conference, but also during the conference, and what energy stores I might really need to practice to prep for that big event. What might take away my energy this month when I'm actively prepping for going to that gathering? Physical fitness. I'm going to be performing some this month. That's going to take both time and emotional and mental energy. YouTube content creation, and then I consider my energy during the conference. It will take the most emotional energy, being with so many people as an introvert, and I also do have social anxiety. Again, inspire a lot of these self-critical thoughts, a lot of self-blame, a lot of hyper-awareness about what the other person is feeling. Obviously, the Polyglot Gathering is going to take a lot of mental energy if I am switching between multiple languages every day. My study plans need to take both of those factors into account. So this is what I'm going to do. Step 5 is keep it simple. Nothing needs to be complicated. And with 11 moving parts, aka languages, it will keep me the most sane to make things simple. I will first take inventory of my most proficient languages, which in this case are German and Italian. I am planning to read. That is why I am putting both of these books on my nightstand to just physically remind me that that is part of my night routine. I already have extensive experience living in both German and Italian speaking countries. So though my speaking fluency has gone down, reading is the best way for me to refresh and also have less stress. The next proficient languages, French and Spanish. This is going to be interesting because I am planning to attend in-person meetups for both of these languages. Now, this is going to cater to widening and warming myself up to facing some social anxiety, but in a smaller group so that I'm going to be ready for facing a much bigger group in about 2 months. Each of those are 1 time a week and they're both 1 hour long. Of course, these languages are going to take a little bit more work to refresh, but again, my approach is still pretty low key with them. My next proficient languages are going to be Arabic, Russian, and Turkish, and I already know that these are going to be the languages that I will probably want to use the most at the Polyglot Gathering. They will definitely take the most preparation and energy. What I'm going to do for Levantine Arabic is I'm going to really streamline it. To a teacher through Natakalam. I do like studying languages by myself, but with rarer languages and dialects, I want to spend less time organizing and more time actively using the resources that my teacher gives me so I don't have to find them. Now, I was at about conversational fluency a year ago. Before I stopped learning Arabic, I am focusing mainly on speaking and refreshing it again. Therefore, I'm going to take 1 class per week, an hour each, complete any homework I'm also going to finish the Mango language course for a big refresher of vocabulary, but that's it. For Turkish, I am making it a priority to have 2 30-minute conversations per week online, refreshing vocabulary and making flashcards with Lingofont. Listen to a lot of native speaking content, probably through Turkish dramas. I am not going to use any textbooks. That takes way too much energy. Russian is going to be the one that I'm probably most comfortable with speaking in person, since I already went to a meetup or two earlier this year. I am going to attend the same Russian meetup, but this time consistently 1 time per week. I will review my vocab list that I already made on Lingofont, and I will also review my notes and continue with Russian Pod 101. Again, no time limit, no specific goal of what lesson I'm supposed to get to by the time that I'm ready to go to the Polyglot Gathering. It's just there for extra bonus points. For my upper beginner languages, I'm going to streamline this process by keeping it super simple and using similar resources. Portuguese, I'm going to attend a language exchange 1 time per week, 1 hour each online. I'm going to continue with the Brazilian Portuguese Pimsleur. It's so similar to other languages I know, so I know I'm going to pick it up. That's good enough for me. For Dutch, the same thing. I'm going to be using the Pimsleur method. For my absolute beginner languages, Korean and Mandarin Chinese, use the, again, same resource for both, which is going to be Pimsleur, because it's focused on pronunciation and conversation. Attend at least 1 in-person meetup in Korean just 1 time before the conference, and then I'm going to attend just 1 time an online meetup for speaking Mandarin. If needed, I might take 1 to 2 private classes before I actually go to the conference, just to adjust myself speaking to another person in these languages. Again, I have a pretty emotional, complicated reaction to Asian languages, considering that I am a heritage language learner. I am just really being gentle with myself and seeing how I emotionally and how my also nervous system is responding to using these languages more often, especially speaking them, and seeing where I can reevaluate, because I know once I get to the conference, it's basically going to be a lot of memorized phrases that I've had in my brain. So it's going to be very beginner, but that's enough for me. Again, I'm focusing on how do I actually want to show up, right? Not concentrating on proficiency necessarily, but concentrating on, what kind of presence do I want to have as I use these languages? I know the kind of language learner that I am. I know my process well, and I know how to take care of the whole person behind my languages that I am, and can make a study plan based off that. All of this helps me more mindfully and confidently learn languages without the burnout, without the stress and overwhelm.